Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 513. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by viable human Chris Saturn.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Saturn.
I hope that our audio issues are worked out now and that people can just enjoy things.
Look, I don't know, man. You know, it's like at the end of the day, I'm just going to yell into this thing, and then hopefully someone hears it somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Someone on the other side of the world can just hear me talking into this robot penis. That's all I care about.
I think I did enough podcasting for enough years with literally no listeners that I'm just, it's just the act of doing it, I think, is why we're here. It's just,
really, we're just here to hang out with each other, and the fact that other people listen to it later is neat.
We have too much anxiety to just hang out with each other on our own terms. we have to construct this entire thing so that we not feel weird about it.
Granted, we did hang out like less than a week ago.
That's true, but it was in service of the show.
True. Yeah, there was
so
purpose
yet
behind
again.
It. All right.
I've maintained for a while that I don't actually know how to have friends. I only know how to run Dungeons and Dragons games.
And
I only in podcasts, and I only know how to have friends through those things. I don't know how to just be a normal friend. I don't know how to do. What do people do? They have dinner parties? Well, I've never been to a dinner party.
It's been nice having Andrew living nearby again because it's been reminding me how to have friends. Because like just at least once a week, he'll just message me and be like, "Hey, you want to hang out tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's all right. That's a good idea."
Yeah, and
so it's been nice to have that reminder of what normal human interaction is like.
Right, where you're not like, okay, what is our... I remember being young. I know we're already off on a tangent.
Yeah, well.
I remember being young and you would have friends and you'd be like, hey, do you want to come over and hang out? And they'd be like, what are we going to do? And you're like, well, I just said hang out.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not going to do anything? And I'd be like, no. And they... this was my best friend growing up. He would seriously go, no, I don't want to. So maybe I have a little bit of PTSD from that friendship where I'm like, I got to provide an activity or they won't show up.
My friends and I always had like a default activity. If we didn't have anything else planned, it was, depending on what our habit was at that time, it was either Tetris Attack or it was Street Fighter or there was some like default game that we would fall back on. Like if we didn't have anything else going on, we're like, I guess we're just going to do this because we have to hang out and we're already here and this is our thing.
Right. You have no choice.
Right?
I think we should do our weeks because we're already off on tangents, Saturn.
Oh.
I'm still doing my week. I'm still doing analog pocket stuff.
Yeah.
I finished
pocket stuff like butt stuff.
It's similar. It's just through the pocket. It's discreet.
It's analog butt stuff.
I'm still playing my analog pocket quite a bit. I played this week's game and I moved on to Pokemon Crystal. This is the Pokemon Crystal. I made a Pokemon Crystal. I don't know if I talked about it on the show.
Yeah, you took some carbon and you compressed it into a Pokemon Crystal.
You wish. I bought because the Pokemon Crystal is a tricky situation. First of all, it's a $160 bear cart on the open market. Second of all, if the battery dies, you lose your save. It's gone. Yeah. And third of all, $160 is for one that like looks like it fell out of a fucking tree. And so I bought, I think I might have mentioned it before, I bought a Benvin MBC 3000 flash cart. It's a single game flash cart. Well, it's technically a 2-game flash cart. But it has FRAM saving, so it dumps your save so that when the battery dies, you don't lose your save game. I bought a nice Pokemon Crystal cart. I got a reproduction label, and I made my own Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah.
And so I basically got a Pokemon Crystal that works better than the original game for $40.
Nice.
Plus $5 for the label, so $45.
Oh.
And I was very happy with it. So I've been playing it, and I was immediately annoyed because there is no way to reset the clock in Pokemon Crystal if your clock gets off.
Oh.
And let me tell you, I'm going to get to it. So if you use a save state, guess what? Your clock gets off because when you load a save state, it loads that RTC data.
Right.
And so I can't use save states or sleep-wake on my analog pocket.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, how do I reset the clock? You have to do a special debug button combination at the menu and then put in a code that is generated by your name, current amount of money, and current play time that you must know by getting into the game and then going to a website, putting that data in, and it'll give you a password to put in to reset the clock. Why?
Sweet.
Why, Nintendo? Why, Game
because
Freak? Why?
Because the original system didn't have save states or sleep mode. Why would they have even considered any of that?
It's just so annoying. So, but I was annoyed, and then I remembered, oh, this is my own Pokemon Crystal. I can just flash the RTC hacked version of it that moves the RTC according to whatever the system clock is at any old time. That works just fine with save states.
Nice.
So yet again, another win for making your own Pokemon Crystal. Don't kids just make your own, okay? You don't need to go buy one. Just make your own. It's better. It's better than the original.
Is that legal, Justin?
It's a complicated question. I'm not qualified. It's a backup. It's my backup.
Your backup.
I also have been playing Pokemon Puzzle League, which you turned me on to.
Yes.
And it is
the best handheld panel to pawn.
I can't. No. Maybe it could be. It's possible.
That's aside from emulating the Super NES or GameCube versions. I'm going to say it is the best handheld panel to pawn.
I like the Animal Crossing panel to pawn too.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't have all the modes though. It is very good at what it does. It just doesn't have everything.
I've been playing it. It's really good. Panel to pawn is like the secret puzzle game. It's like I keep finding panel to pawn in different areas where it's like, oh, what's this weird puzzle game? Oh, it's panel to pawn. Oh, what's that weird puzzle game? Oh, it's panel to pawn. What about this one? Well, that one's Puyo, but this other one's panel to pawn. It's like hidden everywhere.
As a panel to pawn fan, I know where all the sources are, so I no longer get surprised by them.
So I did pick that up. I'm playing that. It's kind of been my puzzle game du jour in between Pokemon Crystal sessions. So I've been fully immersed in the Pokemon world.
My only complaint with Pokemon Puzzle Challenge on Game Boy, because Puzzle League is the N64 and Puzzle Challenge is the Game Boy one.
Yeah.
But my only complaint with Pokemon Puzzle Challenge is I don't know most of the Pokemans in it. Mm-hmm. They are all weird, confusing.
Yeah, they're all Gen 2.
Pokemans. Yeah, I don't get any of that. So. But
honestly,
other than that,
I don't know half the Gen 2 Pokemon either. I know that most of the original ones. Mm-hmm. The Gen 2 is I still don't know half of them.
Yeah.
Also, someone in our Discord, Friendly Kozik, in our Discord messaged me and said, hey, because I was bitching about the price of the adapters for the Analog Pocket, because you have to buy the Trio for $100 plus $20 shipping to get the Neo Geo Pocket one.
Right.
And he goes, hey, I bought 2 sets of adapters. I have a spare Neo Geo Pocket Color adapter, and he sold it to me on the cheap.
Nice.
And so I just basically paid how much it costs to get that one adapter out of the set.
Nice.
And sent it to me, and I've been playing Neo Geo Pocket Color on the Analog Pocket, and man, Saturn. Neo Turf Masters on the Analog Pocket is so good. Really, nice. Neo Turf Masters Pocket is just incredible. It's an incredible golf game.
How's Neo Geo Pocket Color without the clicky analog, though?
I don't miss it at all.
Oh.
I know that people are like, yeah, that's what made the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I mean, here's the thing. Underneath that, it's just a D-pad, so it's not like you get any additional range of motion that you don't have with a D-pad.
Yeah. It's still just digital controls.
And having never owned a Neo Geo Pocket Color when I was younger, only getting that one from you, which I still played a fair amount of.
Yeah.
Still, by time, the majority of Neo Geo Pocket Color that I've played has been on a D-pad. That's how I've played most of it. So it's not a thing that I miss.
That's fair.
And if I want it, I've got the 8-bit Neo Geo Pocket or Neo Geo CD or whatever AVS controller that they made, and I can put my Analog Pocket on the dock and use that, and then I can have the clicky.
Nice.
Which mostly I'm playing Neo Turf Masters, so it doesn't matter so much.
Right.
I did pick up a few other Neo Geo Pocket Color carts now that I have a backlit way to play them.
Nice.
And one, they run great. I was nervous because the Neo Geo Pocket Color core is so bad on the Analog Pocket, the Open FPGA core. I was worried that the official support would also be spotty, and so far it's not. It's fantastic. Nice. It supports sleep-wake and save states. It recognizes the cartridges. It works great. The adapter works great. It fits nice. It's very clean. I'm very impressed with it. I still think it's way too expensive, but it's really good.
Nice.
And I did pick up a few Neo Geo Pocket Color cards that I was missing. I got a Samurai Showdown 2, the SNK version of SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters Clash.
Nice.
And I also picked up SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium.
Nice.
Because the Neo Geo Pocket Color stuff is getting exorbitant. The only thing I really, really still want on the platform is Magical Drop Pocket, but it's about $70 to $150. And I don't know if I $70 to $150 want Magical Drop Pocket.
And repros on NGPC just aren't really that much of a
Not
thing.
really a thing, and neither are flash carts. Flashmaster
Yeah.
makes a cart for the NGPC, but it's pretty limited and only does a few games at a time, and it's just
Right.
kind of one of the, for people that remember the first few generations of flash carts where like they
Right.
worked, but they were kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's that sort of deal. It's also like $170, and I really only want one or two more games, so I could probably just buy the one or two more games I want for the platform.
They're just going to pick up Fossil Eye.
No, not going to do that. No. The big money one on Neo Geo Pocket Color is and always has been Gals Fighter, which is thankfully in the Neo Geo Pocket Color collections that came out on Switch and PC and everything a little while back. But yeah, the big one is Neo Turf Masters, which I think, given time, I think I might like better than full-size Neo Turf Masters. I think the Pocket might be better. It's just that much cuter. Yeah. And I got to say this because I was also playing some Mario Golf, which I got from you.
Yeah.
Neo Turf Masters is better golf. Like, it doesn't have the full-blown RPG built into it, which is what makes Mario Golf on Game Boy Color cool.
Right.
But just the golf part of it, Neo Turf Masters wins by a mile.
The other thing that made Mario Golf on Game Boy Color cool was you could build up your character in the RPG mode and then import them into the N64 game.
Oh, I didn't know you could import them. I knew it was like RPG and you built them up and stuff. But...
Yeah. The N64 controller adapter that most people think only works with Pokemon.
Yeah.
You can use it with Mario Golf and Mario Tennis to import your characters onto the N64
kick everyone's ass because you've...
Oh, yeah.
Now, my thing is, I'm Mario Golf on Game Boy Color, I find extremely hard. The golf is just... It's just really hard golf. I mean, I get it. Golf's a hard game, but is that maybe
you have to build up some stats?
Yeah. Anyway, anyone out there that hasn't played the Pocket version of Neo Turf Masters, my God, go play it. Holy cow.
Nice.
What a good golf game. Also, Pokemon Puzzle League. Don't sleep on that. It's a really great panel.
Puzzle Challenge.
Puzzle Challenge. I didn't even put League in the notes. I keep mixing them up.
Yeah.
So,
Puzzle League. Puzzle League is the N64 one. And it's weird that Nintendo continues to call Panel Depon Puzzle League in the US when it was clearly named that because it was a Pokemon League.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're naming it after the fact that there are leagues in Pokemon.
Yep.
And then when they dropped the Pokemon part, they were like, "Well, just keep calling it Puzzle League for no reason."
Whatever. I don't know. I do have. I picked up a little bit of Game Boy stuff on eBay just because I've been spending a lot of time there lately.
Yeah.
And I have coming in the mail, I didn't know this was a thing, a game called Quarth.
Yeah.
It's a Tetris shmup.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun.
I haven't looked anything up about it. I just saw Tetris shmup and I was like, I got it for like $4. I was like, yeah, I'm going to fucking play that.
Yeah.
So still just kind of going down the Game Boy rabbit hole. The role of my week I have here in the notes is for next week. I forgot to copy it over. So Saturn, what have you been doing with your weeks?
Quarth did release in the US, but it was called Block Hole.
I thought I got a U.S. copy.
Well, it might have been called Block Hole on something else, on arcade or something.
Because my Game Boy copy, it looks like I'm checking now. It says Quarth on the front.
Okay, yeah, the Game Boy one might have been Quarth.
It is Quarth, and this is. I'm checking the label now. This is looks like a U.S. label. Hold on.
Yeah, maybe it was the arcade version that was called Block Hole.
Made in Japan, DMG QR USA. Yeah, this is the USA version. It's Ultra Games.
Yeah, I was thinking that my copy was Quarth 2, or not my copy, but the copy that I played back in the day. Yeah. But yeah, I just always remembered that it was called Block Hole somewhere in the U.S., and I'm guessing that must have been the arcade version, because I always thought that was a dumb name.
It is a dumb name. You're correct.
It is, and I love it. Anyway, now I've been playing the Lunar on my Xbox. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Still enjoying that. Yeah. It's a good port. The quality of life features are just good enough that I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I've
you mean
mostly,
more than none? Suikoden?
Right. I mostly was playing the game for the show this week, so I'd put Lunar down for a bit, and then when I was about to come back to it, a different game came out, and I got distracted by that. So I've not played it as much as I want to play. Also, when I was hanging out with Andrew in the last couple of weeks, now that he lives nearby, we've been playing his baseball game on the PS5, the MLB The Show.
Yeah, he had messaged me and he was like, Saturn likes baseball? And I was like, Saturn's always kind of been on record as a mild baseball enjoyer.
Yeah, like I don't dislike baseball. It's fun. I don't want to watch a whole game unless like everybody else is watching it, and I'll just
I
like
do
put
like
up
that
with
the
them
one
watching
sport
it.
you like is the one that is kind of, it's the one team sport that is as close to a turn-based RPG as you
Yep.
could possibly get.
Exactly. So
Everyone
I
just
can
kind of
follow
stands
it.
there and waits for someone to take their turn. And
Yep, they just wait for their turn. It's great. And then they get their experience points afterwards. And they do
they
their
just
little
need
dance.
spiky anime hair, and
Right.
you'd be at every game.
And just replace the bat with an oversized novelty sword.
Yeah, it's reaching a point I would watch this. This sounds kind of fun.
I'd picked up years ago now. I picked up the Power Pro Baseball on PS4
Yeah.
because Konami sells it for $1.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like it looks like little like Funko Pops playing baseball effectively. And it's cute and fun and dumb and mindless, and I appreciate that. The one that Andrew has is the new MLB The Show, so it's much more simulation-y,
Fancy looking, yeah.
And also I can't seem to figure out how to throw the ball every time I try to throw the ball. Like when Andrew is running to a base, my dude will like fake out throw where he like moves his arm but never lets go of the ball. And so it looks like my guy's like, am I gonna throw it? No.
As he runs the hole.
Yeah. And so it looks like my team is incompetent the whole time.
Yeah.
I did almost beat Andrew yesterday. I think I had a score like I ended up with like 11 runs in the second inning, and then Andrew like, shit, I got to take it seriously. And suddenly he came back in the last inning and just like crushed me.
Andrew's always been very secretively competitive. He doesn't bill himself as that, but when he gets to a competition, he wants to win.
Well,
he's there to
I
win.
know that. I've played Mario Kart against him.
Oh yeah, when he starts to fall into second place and he's listening right now in his car and he's like, stop it. But he gets competitive.
Yeah.
He does.
Just like I'll look like I'm gonna win, and then here comes Luigi out of 11th place, just destroying
ready to
me.
fuck your shit up.
Right? Yeah, it's great. I love it. So
yeah,
no, it's been fun. It's been fun. I'm keeping an eye out for if the baseballs goes on the cheap on the Xbox because it's crossplay. So that way we can each see a full screen and not have to see what the other person is doing when we're trying to play against them.
You could just tape a piece of cardboard in the middle of his TV.
Turns out you can't, because that would just cover up the important part for the other player.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's the problem with that was always my problem with the Saturn version, because I used to play World Series baseball with some friends of mine on Saturn, and you would just always see what the other player was doing when they were pitching, and so you would know what to do. And so if they're like aiming way outside of the box, you're like, I'm not gonna bat at that. Like, come on, man, do it, it'll be funny. But
yeah. Let's do some news.
Yes, sir.
First up, D4 Enterprise and Falcom are releasing a Japanese exclusive physical compilation of several classic Ys games upgraded to play on Windows 10 and 11. This is very exciting, but only in Japan so far anyway.
Yeah, and it would require a full translation of these like 40-year-old classic PC games, so I don't know how likely that is. That seems unlikely.
But it'd be cool.
But it would be neat. Maybe we'll see some new fan translations of these. That would also be neat.
Even better. At least some Nintendo Switch games will not have an upgrade path to their Nintendo Switch 2 editions, necessitating a full purchase to get the upgraded version. What a convenient piece of information that was left out of Nintendo's presentation.
In fairness, there are some PS5 and Series X games that also fell into this. Mostly sports games. Yeah.
Equally bullshit.
Indeed.
I feel like sports games just know they can fucking get away with it.
Yeah,
like we know you'll buy it twice. We don't.
Yeah, but apparently the Sonic Generations remaster was the first one that announced that no, you cannot upgrade your Nintendo Switch 1 version in any way.
Well, I don't understand why.
I don't either.
I mean, other than like fuck you money, but like I get that why. But yeah. Fallout creator Tim Kaine says he was ordered to destroy his archive chronicling the development of the games because fuck preservation,
right? That's just why.
Well, exactly. I can't even. It's not even like a money thing. It's like no. Just fuck preservation. I can't even invent a reason.
Like, we don't want you to own the making of that game. That's unacceptable to us.
I don't get it. It makes no sense.
It upsets me.
Oh yeah, no, it upsets me too. It's very
Yeah.
upsetting. But I don't understand why you
Right.
would go and do that.
It just seems malicious for maliciousness' sake.
That's the best answer I can come up with is that. Breath of Fire 4 received a surprise GOG release and was added
Yes.
to their preservation program, which is the
nice.
program that guarantees that it's going to run super good and into the future on modern systems.
Right.
GOG also added several classic Star Wars games to the preservation program, though there have been some pushback regarding the new EULA in the games that is included by Disney.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I've been seeing some pushback from a lot of people on the GOG forums that are like, well, this EULA from Disney says that they can retract their ownership of the game at any time.
Yes.
Which that's what all of Disney's EULAs say on every platform always.
Ever.
So I don't know what made you think it wasn't going to say that.
I understand that the point of GOG is that you get to legally own this and no one can take it away from you.
Right.
For the most part, there are games with extenuating EULAs other than these.
Right.
It's been a problem on the platform.
Yeah.
But it also seems like there's just no fucking way we're going to get Star Wars games otherwise, period.
No. Yeah.
And the closest we're going to get is, you can get it and then download it and then they can't take it away because you have it downloaded.
Right.
Which is still technically not a legal way to own the game. If they've revoked your license, you're not supposed to play it anymore according to the EULA. It's murky water.
That's not been challenged in court yet. So I don't buy that.
True. I don't know that it would have any
take away your purchase.
No. I mean, the thing about a lot of EULAs in terms of services in general is that many of them include things that either won't hold up in court, can't be proven, or are just illegal.
And so, some of them have already fallen in court. So, but they keep trying it anyway because they're like, well, somebody might not
because to set the precedent, you have to be able to afford to go to court.
Exactly.
That's the tricky part. Either way, Breath of Fire 4 is very exciting for me. This is a very celebrated entry in the franchise. Really, kind of Breath of Fire 4 was always billed to me as like the best one. It's the best Breath of Fire game. Yeah,
I've always heard the opposite.
It was either
it is one of my favorites. 3 is generally 3 is generally considered as one of the best. I prefer 4 to 3.
Is 3 the one where you start in the desert?
I don't remember.
Whichever one you start in the desert, that's the one everybody was like, that's the good Breath of Fire. That's the best one.
Usually, from what I read, the conversation usually said that 3 was better than 4. I've always preferred 4 to 3. I prefer the Super NES games to both 3 and 4. So I might be a wrongie, but still, I'm happy that Breath of Fire 4 on PC was always kind of a shitty port to begin with.
Yeah.
It came out years after the PlayStation version. It was Europe and Japan exclusive. I had acquired a copy from the internets back in the early 2000s when it first came out, and it was just kind of clunky and didn't work great. It was easier for me to just emulate the PS1 version. Seeing them actually putting in the effort to make this a functional working version of Breath of Fire, that's good. I'm happy with that.
I'm excited about it. It looks good. It looks like a good version. It's in the GOG program. We know it's going to run well. It's nice to see JRPGs getting preserved. I mean, GOG has a lot of Japanese games on it, but it's always been relatively Western centric, just because that's kind of the easy pickings when it comes to PC gaming a lot of the time.
And also, a lot of Japanese companies just don't like the idea of DRM free. So you don't see them support it too often. So I'm always happy to see when it happens. I went ahead and picked this up just to show my support for this.
Sure.
And hope that we see more games get this treatment.
I've been casually kicking around the idea of downloading a bunch of the GOG games that are important to me and then burning them to DVDs and printing cover art for them. I don't know why, other than just to take up more space in my house.
I saw somebody who picked up a bunch of used empty N-Gage cases, game cases, because they just
put them in SD cards.
Yeah, they put them on SD cards and just shoved them in the N-Gage cases, and that was a cute way to do it because they even printed little SD card sized labels for all their games and everything.
I'm a sucker for shit like that,
right?
Yeah. Anyway, we got to move on. A European privacy firm has filed suit against Ubisoft for requiring online connections to collect data on players playing single-player games. As well, they should file suit against Ubisoft. As well, it should be illegal to do that.
Right?
Please stop doing it.
Seriously,
stop
what the fuck?
God damn it, stop.
I was upset when Diablo started doing this decades ago. I'm still upset by it now.
Oh, God, I love this one. The infamous "you wouldn't steal a car" anti-piracy ad pirated its font. You wouldn't download a font, would you?
Apparently you would, yeah.
Apparently you would. Yeah, they did this. It was a pirated font. I read the story. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's always been a dumbass ad. From
Oh,
the
yeah.
the first moment I saw it in a movie theater, I was
Right,
like, this
yeah.
is a bullshit idiot ad. This is dumb as hell.
Me and my friends laughed hysterically at it the first time we saw it in the theater. I don't remember what movie it was. It would have been like somewhere between 99 and 02 whenever that ad started airing.
Yeah.
And we just laughed hysterically at it, and it's been funny ever since.
Yeah. Ziff Davis is suing OpenAI for training its AI on their publications without permission. As well they should. Fuck you.
Though, on the other hand, maybe we do want the AI trained on garbage journalism. Maybe,
hey,
maybe
man, there was some good... Ziff Davis has had some good publications, at least 2.
Yeah.
All right?
They have in the past. They don't own those anymore. So
no, those are all gone.
Over.
It's all just trash now, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The Wii Homebrew channel has ceased development following allegations that the app was built on stolen code.
Yeah, and they said that some of the code was stolen from Nintendo, which people do not seem as upset about. But then some of the code was stolen from other open source projects where it was not properly credited and modified in such a way that couldn't be easily reverse engineered or something. So that's a little more troubling. However, I don't know that it's going to affect anything because the Wii Homebrew's channel has been pretty stable for years now.
Yeah, and the Wii isn't getting any updates. The only problem I see is as Windows progresses, eventually some of the tools required to get it set up may not be compatible, but I don't remember there being any executables even. It's just like put some shit on an SD card and boot some ELF files and it goes.
Yeah.
It's still sad to see. Still sad. 8BitDo and Retroid have announced that they're attempting to find new shipping partners and avenues to get their products to the U.S. to minimize tariff costs to consumers. A lot of companies are in this boat right now. A lot of other companies are just saying, hey, we're just stopping orders to the U.S. because we don't know what to do. So it's been a continual issue. I've seen at least 2 different tabletop gaming companies literally just say, we are closing down now because our margins are now 0 and companies won't even ship to us now because it's too expensive.
Yeah, that's really frustrating.
Thanks.
Yeah.
EA has laid off between 300 and 400 employees and canceled a new Titanfall game because they fucking hate money. I don't know why. Stop. Make the game.
Every time I see these stories about EA, I always think about those ads from back in the 80s where they were like, we respect the artists. We are the true video game artists.
Titanfall was so good and you had it and you just didn't. You're just like, we're just not going to do it. Why? Just come on, man. At the very least,
just hate you personally. That's the problem.
Just open it up to the community. Everyone else will finish it for you. It'll be done in a weekend. Like shit. Yeah. It's me personally. EA's mad at me because I talk shit about them on the show. That's
you do.
LRG's recently shipped reproductions of the canceled GBA Shantae game have some really gross looking chips in them. And as someone who has been personally looking into flash carts, reproduction carts, custom PCBs, and other custom Game Boy stuff, this is gross even by like, I got this flash cart for $2 on AliExpress standard. These are bad looking chips. They look like they're salvaged from something, but even salvaged chips don't normally look this bad. They're gross.
And the thing is that a lot of different people have started opening up their carts now just because of this. Sure. Some of them look fine.
Yeah.
And others look like they're 30 years old. And
my guess
no one can explain it.
My guess is they're using it like old SRAM chips off of, out of a box.
Mm-hmm.
I think what it looks like happened, because I've seen harvested chips a lot. I have some stuff with harvested chips. I'm pretty sure multiple of my flash cards are harvested chips in them because I got them for like $9 on AliExpress.
Right.
But they look like they were put on the boards and then ripped off. And this is my total tinfoil hat guess. I think they had an issue in production and they had to take some of the production run, yank the chips off and redo them. And they did it as fast as possible to reduce costs, and it resulted in the chips being handled roughly, and I think that's what happened.
I can't imagine LRG doing something like that to reduce costs. They've always been such an up-and-up company.
Now, to their credit, there's a chance the factory just did it and didn't say anything, but also LRG should be checking shit before it goes out the doors. You want to check at least a portion of something before you ship it out to all your customers, It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. I also, I didn't put it in the notes, but an upcoming LRG release for Raidou on Switch 2 is Game Keycart. So the forever physical TM company really living up to their standards.
They're such a fucking joke. Just stop. Just be like, we're a regular publisher now. Just do it.
Well, they are, and that's all they're doing.
Yeah. An activist investment fund is aggressively buying stake in Square Enix.
That's worrying to me. I don't like that.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Maybe they could release Spirits Within 2 and gain enough money that they can buy back all those shares.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Guy will be so happy. The Japanese Game Preservation Society is experiencing financial hardship following reduced financial contributions from multiple companies. Says they could close as soon as September if the situation doesn't change. I don't know if there's a way for us to donate to them.
I don't think so. I think they said that they couldn't just take open donations or something.
Yeah, I know it's trickier in Japan.
Yeah.
I will say this is a huge bummer if it happens.
Yeah.
A huge amount of, specifically PC gaming in Japan is just flat out not documented.
Right. Or at the very least, not documented outside of Japanese language.
Yeah. Or even in a very in-depth way. There's just a lot. There's a huge swath of PC gaming in Japan that's just kind of
lost to time.
Yeah. And presumably, folks like the Japanese Game Preservation Society are working toward fixing that, among many other things.
Right.
So it's unfortunate to hear.
Yeah.
A judge has found Apple to be willfully violating a 2021 injunction against the company regarding allowing third-party payments for in-app purchases, and a lot of companies are already bringing back their third-party payments for in-app purchases because of this ruling. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
This is good. This is what we want. This makes for more open payment infrastructure.
Yep.
This is good. This is a hole in the walled garden that we can peek through for just a moment before they figure out how to close it, which will happen.
I was listening to a legal analysis show the other day where they were talking about this ruling, and one of them brought up how Walmart tried to start a bank back in 04 or 05. Do you remember that at all?
No. What?
Yeah, Walmart tried to set up their own financial system where people could cash their paychecks there and make their payments and buy everything at Walmart. And basically, they were just trying to form an organization that would act like a bank, but not legally be a bank, so they could get around all regulation. And the government was like, no, you can't do that. That's not a thing you can do. And there are some surprising parallels between Walmart and Apple in these recent cases.
Turns out.
Yeah.
And finally, Polygon hit with big layoffs after it was announced that it was acquired by OpenCritic and Screen Rant owner Valnet.
I had never heard of this Valnet company before, so I looked them up, and it's founded by the people that founded Brazzers and Pornhub.
More consolidation. I'm not going to lie. I haven't read Polygon in years.
They've still had some decent stuff in recent years.
Of the outlets, I mean, there's a few good ones that, like, unfortunately, they all do the clickbait shit now. All of them do it.
Yep.
It's just a fact of the industry.
Yeah.
But like Polygon, Eurogamer, Rock, Paper, Shotgun have all been, like, they've got good stuff in the mix. You just got to find it. I don't know what the future for games journalism looks like. I think it looks like just not existing anymore because companies can talk directly to customers, and a lot of the games journalism industry used to just be effectively advertising and information dissemination, which is so easy to do these days. Yeah. And it makes me sad that games journalism did not evolve a little bit before those things became so easy. There are still some, like our Video Game History Foundation had a podcast with the people that run, there's like this nonprofit gaming publication, you know, and it's called like a ROM chip, and it's run like an academic journal sort of. So like there's still good journalism out there being done. It's just kind of buried, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the pizzazz, which the pizzazz was kind of turned out to be part of the problem in games journalism. But it's still out there. Find good journalism where you can, reward good journalism when you can, let people know that you're watching and reading and sharing. And please let's get out of siloed places, information silos like YouTube and TikTok and Facebook Reels or whatever they call them, Instagram Reels. Or is that the one with the Reels?
I don't know why you're asking me.
Xander, what's a social media? Explain it to me.
I don't know. I don't use it.
I just got a live journal and there's no one else is here. What's going on?
I've never twat once.
Which brings us to our topic at hand.
Does it?
Which is Pokemon FireRed.
Which is twatting.
Synopsis: 8 years is enough time for a remake. Apparently,
Honestly,
Sony thinks even
kinda is.
less than that. Yeah, kind of is.
Capcom thinks less than that too. I think Resident Evil lasted 6 years before it got its first remake.
I'm just going to throw this out there because the title of the shows probably won't indicate it. We're splitting this as Fire Red and Leaf Green because it's cute and that's how the game split it.
Right.
This is the story episode. Next episode is the gameplay episode.
Is it the story episode?
Or no,
this
episode is the story episode. Yeah, this episode I flipped it this time.
I am shocked you found this much story in this game, by the way.
So this episode is the story episode. Next episode is the gameplay episode. I realize in this exact moment that I did them backwards.
That's fine.
But for the Pokemon story, I don't think it particularly matters.
It does not, no.
Because until earlier today, this was just one gigantic 19-page document.
Well, there's only 8 lines of story in the entire game.
Hush. So this is the story episode. Next week is the gameplay episode. If you don't want the story for the first generation of Pokemon games spoiled, then first of all, maybe you should rethink your standard for story spoilers. But also, you could skip this one if that's not a thing you want spoiled. But even then, we're not going to get super in-depth with it, oddly enough. And we'll explain why in a minute. Note on scope. So just by virtue of being a remake of the first Pokemon games, this is also going to kind of be a review of those. We did an episode on the first generation Pokemon games like 400 episodes ago.
Did we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did Red and Blue when we were recording at your old house.
Yeah.
In your game room.
Yeah.
And I would drive to your
Pokemon.
house.
I didn't know that we actually went into the games in depth in any way, but I mean,
as in depth as we went back then.
Right,
you know?
that's fair. Yeah.
So went a little more in depth this time, so we'll get to that. This was developed by Game Freak, published in Japan by the Pokemon Company, published elsewhere by Nintendo, released in Japan and North America in 2004, Australia and New Zealand also got it 2004, and Europe got it 2004. 2004 across the board. It all came out in 2004, various states. In 2004.
It was episode 34 in March of 2016.
So that was back when, to do the episode, we would have no notes. We would sit down, look at whoever's game shelf was in front of us and go, hey, let's do that game. And then just talk about what we remembered about it.
Yep.
We do the show a little different now.
A little.
There's a little bit more effort and research put into it.
Slightly more.
Slightly more.
Yeah.
First encounters, I actually skipped these and all of the Game Boy Advance Pokemon games when they first released. So this, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emeralds, totally skipped them because I was 16. So I was right in that age where I was concerned with PC gaming, my job because I was employed, and girls, and just other 16-year-old boy shit. And I thought Pokemon was for little baby gamers, and it was beneath me. And I was playing grown-up games now like Diablo 2, not Ass Creed. Now I'm an adult and I've reverted back to being a little baby gamer.
Yeah.
And so I've since started Fire Red, Leaf Green a couple times, but this is my first time really playing all the way through them. And I clocked in around, I think I'm right at 40 hours. So like 38 and some change. And I did do most of the stuff. So this is my first real sit down, and weirdly enough, the first 16 hours I played like 2 years ago, and I just picked up that save and just kept going with it.
Nice.
So kind of a weird trajectory for me. But I've come back around. Now I'm a little baby gamer. We were in Discord the other day talking about how we're all little baby gamers and sharing the ways in which we're little tiny dumb baby gamers.
Yeah, we have tiny hands.
I don't, but
I know.
You know. They're problematic. Saturn, what about you? How many Pokemons have you played?
So when the first Pokemon came out, I was 16. So I was at that age when the first one came out. And I remember we had picked it up. I don't even remember how we heard about it. We must have heard about it from some friends or something. And for some reason, my mom was more interested than I was. And she was like, well, let's go pick up this game because it's on Game Boy and it's a role-playing game. And there's cute monsters in it. And I was like, I do like cute monsters. So all right. So we picked it up, and she got way more into it than I did and ended up stealing the Game Boy and playing through the first cartridge, buying the second one, playing through the second one, and then saying, oh, you can play the first one now. I'm done with them both. And I didn't get into it as much. And then she got upset that I wouldn't trade in battle with her, and then she just traded and battled with herself a lot.
Sure.
And so I moved out of the house and completely ignored future generations aside from having to work at a game store and selling them. And so I was
I was
aware
also
of them.
working at a game store and 16 when this remake came out. Weirdly enough, very much mirrors your experience with the original generation when it first came out.
Well, the game store that I worked at wouldn't hire anybody under 18, so they were pretty strict about that. But so I was in my 20. This was actually the last year that I worked at a game store was when this came out.
Yeah.
And so I was aware of it, but I didn't really play it at all. I did try it on an emulator a few times over the years, just because I was like, everybody seems to like these Pokemons. I should give them a shot. And this was one of the ones I kept trying to give a shot to, just because it is, a remake of the first one. I was like, well, clearly it's gonna, have some quality of life improvements, clean up some of the clunkiness of the original, and give me a chance to warm up into the series. And I just never did click with it. But I did play through it for this episode. I finished the Elite Four, and then I stopped because that's the end of the game.
So you didn't finish the game?
No, I finished the game. I got a little credit sequence.
You saw the credits.
Yep. This is the reverse of every other episode, by the way. Because every other time where I'm like, well, you didn't finish the game, you just rolled credits, and you're like, nope, finished it. This is done. Me this time.
I saw credits. I got to give it to you because that's where I've been. I get it. I get it. I do.
I will say that in trying to learn things while playing the game and also while trying to write notes for the episode, I basically feel like I'm learning another language because the rest of the world has been just immersed in Pokemon for 30 years now almost. And so they have developed an entire lexicon, both what is in the game and also created by the fandom. And so trying to, because I assumed, because I was like, it's a JRPG, it is a relatively basic JRPG designed for children, that is, pick up and play enough that a kid can play it.
Here's the tricky part, and we'll talk more about it next episode, but it is simple, but the underlying math is very complex.
It's not any more complex than a lot of other JRPGs. The problem is the fan base has so microanalyzed it.
Yeah.
That there is this entire vocabulary built around it, and it felt like I was accidentally, stepping into somebody else's hobby and not my own.
Yeah.
And despite my deep knowledge of JRPGs and their mechanics and their math and their programming and everything, I felt completely overwhelmed immediately. So there was a lot of confusion there.
We ran into this when we were preparing for the show because I was confused because you were so confused, and I think I said it's a game for 10-year-olds. You just play it and go to the next town, and then they tell you where to go, and you go to the next town after that. Like, it's pretty.
Yeah, but that's not how I play games.
Within the microcosm of the game, there's really not a lot to know. Like, to just completing the game, beating the Elite Four, there's not a ton to know.
Yeah, no.
Other than type differences is a good thing to know, which the guides go over and the game hints at and stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's really not a lot to know to get through the base game. Yeah, but if you want to go an inch beyond that, there's a whole world.
I eventually just had to give up on playing it like I would play any other game and just play it as a 10-year-old would play it for the last half of the game.
Which, to be fair, that is how the game's intended to be played. Right. But,
But it meant that I missed out on a lot. And I was feeling the itch. I was like, do I go back and get everything, or do I move on to another game? And I ultimately decided to move on.
We're going to talk more about how you played it next episode. But right now, quickly take us through the development of this, because you did this section for us.
And I'll be honest, this is... I have a feeling that Pokemon fans will be able to contradict half of this, because I did some research and learned that the Pokemon fans have already absolutely mined all of this. So
this is the most top level information about how the game came. I mean, really, the development of any Pokemon game is its own entire episode.
Right. And I tried to summarize as briefly as possible without
the most top
contradicting
level
things.
Sure.
So the development seems to have started sometime in 2003 with the games being announced in Japan in September of 2003. Games were built in a modified Ruby Sapphire game engine and are compatible with those games as far as trading and battling.
In some ways, yeah.
And according to the game's director, Junichi Masuda, the objective was to remake the games in a more simplistic and approachable manner. I don't know definitively if they fixed. I
agree that it is more approachable.
Yeah,
I don't know that I agree that it's more simplistic.
right.
It is definitively a little more complex.
Right. From the get-go, compatibility with the wireless adapter was proposed by Satoru Iwata and was an early feature of the development of the game.
Yep.
The Western release of the game wasn't confirmed until early 2004, following the Japanese release, which was still standard at the time. The Japanese release was limited to 500,000 units. Speculation was that this may have been due to the production issues with the bundled wireless adapter. The decision was made to keep the same naming scheme internationally as the Japanese release rather than using the red-blue naming system of the originals. Masuda said this was to avoid the implication of conflict between fire and water because he wanted it to not feel like a conflict but more like a compliment.
Which, okay.
Yeah, sure. The soundtrack was remixed from the Game Boy original with minor tweaks in some tracks. Also, the newly added Sevi Islands were added mostly to add in the new Pokemon from later generations without drastically altering the original game's story or scope.
Yep. And we'll talk a lot more about the Sevi Islands later.
I barely messed with them at all.
Presentation-wise, for a lot of these 2 episodes are going to be for people that have never played Pokemon games, which they exist. Saturn was one of them
Yeah,
until
that was
recently.
me. I mean, I'd played them, just not.
Right, not played them.
Yeah.
Top-down sprite-based graphics using slightly modified Ruby Sapphire engine, which is to say that overall the visuals are crisp and bright. They look good on the GBA. Pokemon and other sprites are much more representative of what I expect them to look like compared to Red and Blue. For people that didn't play the original Gen 1 Red and Blue, they look a little goofy a lot of the time. They look very not the way that they finally standardized them to look later on, especially out of battle. Pokemon did not look like what they looked like.
Well, they just looked like little dragons or something.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And they didn't say their own names. They would just say weird stuff. It was before a lot of this stuff was standardized.
Right.
Battle
Before the anime
animation
canonized everything.
Right. Before it became this marketing blitz where everything had to match up.
Yep.
Battle animations were added in this version, and I know a lot of hardcore players turn them off to save time because they make battles go faster. I really appreciate the animations. Some of them are really cool and interesting.
I just held the fast forward button to make battles go faster. It was great.
I did not play this with fast forward at all. 40 straight hours.
Oh, I'd be just brutal. I don't think I could handle it.
I did eventually turn the animations off near the end when I was doing a lot of grinding, because near the end of the game I usually have to grind 10 or 15 levels to get up to snuff for the Elite Four. So for then I did finally turn them off. No, I finally turned them off for that. Some of the animations are so cool.
When I got to the Elite Four, I just walked through it. It was
it was a fight for me. I attempted it 3 or 4 times. I hit exactly level 50 and then I go in.
Yeah, my Alakazam was level 79, I think.
Yeah, you could do the whole all of them with that.
I don't even know if I changed to a second Pokemon.
Music. The soundtrack is, again, mostly remixed versions of music from the original. They do sound really good here. The GBA in particular is not known for its sound quality. It's known for very scratchy sound that a lot of emulators fix on the back end.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of depth and interesting nuance added to classic Pokemon tracks here. I think they sound good. I played a lot of the game with headphones. I also played a lot of it waiting to pick my kid up, so I'd plug it into my car stereo from my analog.
Yeah.
And it sounds really good.
Honestly, if you're sitting outside of a school waiting to pick up a kid playing Pokemon music over your car stereo, people are going to assume that you also wrote free candy on the side of your car.
Look, man, all this to say that it's one of the better sounding GBA games, because a lot of GBA games just sound like dog shit, to be honest. Oddly enough.
There's some good GBA soundtracks.
There are, but a lot of them are really bad and crackly. Like the Castlevania games on GBA are famous for having like really crackly audio.
Yeah, it's really disappointing because there's some excellent music there.
Sure.
It's just that it sounds too crunchy.
I feel like I remember the Mario games, at least 1 or 2 of them, having real crackly bad audio.
But I do love the bad voice recordings over the bad audio.
Yes, they do
it makes it so
more
much
fun.
better, especially Toad and Mario 2 Advance. So great. So awesome.
Let's do some story. This is what this episode's all about. And I want to start by how I structured this. So the story in Leaf Green Fire Red is a little disconnected.
I am disappointed you scratched out my full, complete game summary.
Saturn wrote, some kid catches bugs or something. Why is his mom okay with this kid's solo national tour?
Yeah.
Why are all adults okay with this? Who's letting this lone kid buy medicine and crawl through caves while adults challenge him? Also, there are gyms or something.
Right.
Bill is here.
Yeah, that's the entire game. That's the entire story. I don't know how you found any more story than that. I played the game. That's all.
Many
of the story.
pages. The story in the game is disconnected, and I kind of struggled with how much of it to include, because even the deepest parts of the story are really like, someone did a thing, and now you must decide how to fix it via Pokemon battle. Which, it makes sense for a game for 10-year-olds about 10-year-olds, but it's kind of a little boring mechanically to recount moment to moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I've decided to separate the story out into its various parts and just we can comment on them that way.
Okay.
So this is the shortest part.
All right.
The actual story is basically what you wrote.
Yes.
A 10-year-old child is given a monster by Professor Oak, told to go out into the world and fight, collect, and catalog other monsters to help him complete his Pokedex. That's the core thing you're doing. You're helping this old man complete his Pokedex.
But the game is lying to you because you can't complete the Pokedex because all the monsters aren't in your game. They're in somebody else's game.
Via trading.
Uh-huh. They're in somebody else's game.
You travel the entire Kanto region. Your mother is very okay with this, to answer your question, Saturn. She's super okay with it.
For some fucking reason.
Your dad's never mentioned. I think you're just probably really annoying, and she's a single mom, and she's like, oh, thank fucking God, he's going to get out of the house for a few months.
And now she can just sit at home and drink margaritas all day.
The idea that the mom in Pokemon is just at home day drunk the whole time is now canon in my head. Speaking of canon, your rival, who I will henceforth refer to as Gary because it's canonical and it's a funny name.
No, his name is Dillweed.
You named him Dillweed.
Yeah.
Also wants to do the same shit and is given a Pokemon and is kind of an ass about the whole thing.
Yeah, he's unnecessarily hostile about all this.
He's really rude for no reason.
Doesn't he know that you have to trade to get them all? If he and I had just traded, then we wouldn't need Justin to come over to my house.
He's in the same game as you, so
we don't know that. Well, he picked a different starter at the very least. We could have traded those immediately.
As the game progresses, there are lots of mentions of friendship and bonds with your Pokemon. There are a few small mechanical things that play into it, but largely, at least in the first game, later games is very different. But in the first game, there's this sort of story of you bonding and creating friendships with your Pokemon through a loving relationship that's only just kind of referenced. It's never really, doesn't really ever come up.
They really play up the love and the friendship for what is effectively animal slavery.
Yeah. So that's the story of why you're going out in the world. But as soon as you hit the world, you learn about the Pokemon League. So throughout the game, you're constantly neck and neck with Gary to become the Pokemon League champion for some reason, because you want it. We don't know. Sure, it's cool. We're going to do that.
But I kick his ass every time I see him. How is he always ahead of me?
Because he walks faster. So there you go. This is done by defeating the 8 gym leaders in the game and obtaining their badges. The badges have 2 mechanical functions. One, they allow you to command increasingly higher level Pokemon, which kind of gates you out of your friend just giving you a level 99 Blastoise to fire through the game with, although it still works because they listen to enough of your commands that you can mostly get through most battles.
Yep.
And they also allow you to use the various hidden machines within the game that help with traversal. So each gym features a specific type of Pokemon, and this is how the story teaches you about type differences and how to take advantage of them. And there's also usually a puzzle of some sort. Each gym has a different puzzle. Some of them are just like, it's a maze full of trainers. Some of them are like, you got to find a hidden switch. Some of them are like little teleport panels.
Right.
It's different in each one. And so you go through these. I have each gym listed. First up is Brock with the Boulder badge. He's the rock gym, which is easy for me because I picked Bulbasaur as my starter, and it would have been easy for you because you picked Squirtle as your starter.
I did have Squirtle.
Misty is the next one.
So it's okay.
Well, it's wrong, but it's Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is also number 001, which makes him the correct choice. His first Pokemon. Misty gives a Cascade badge. She's the Water Gym. Lieutenant Surge is the Thunder badge. He's the Electric Gym. I remember being a kid, and Lieutenant Surge was the first time I saw Pikachu had an evolution because he has a Raichu.
Yeah.
And Saturn, it blew my mind. Pikachu evolved. Did you know this? I didn't know this. I had no idea that he evolved.
I thought they mentioned in the manual.
I don't know. I didn't read the manual. Hell, my mom probably made me throw it away. She's like, here's the game. Throw this trash in the garbage.
God.
Eric is the Grass Gym. You get the Rainbow badge. Koga is the Poison Gym. You get the Soul badge. Sabrina is Psychic Marsh badge. Blaine is the Fire Volcano badge. And then finally, the last gym leader is Giovanni. He's the Earth badge, and he has ground Pokemon.
And it's like the third time you fight him, too.
It is. You run into him a few times. We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
So after obtaining the badges, you get to traverse Victory Road, challenge the Elite Four, and after you defeat Lance, the final Elite Four person, and they're also themed Ice Fighting, Ghost, and Dragon, which are kind of the more complex Pokemon types to deal with in the games. And after you defeat Lance, you're told that you're the Pokemon champion. You did it. At least you would be if someone hadn't just moments earlier done the same thing as you and beaten everyone. So now you have to beat them.
One, does that mean that I beat their weakened Pokemon after they were already defeated?
That was my question. Like,
And
he's
two-
literally 2 steps ahead of you.
Right. And two, why did they even let me compete if there's already a champion?
Yeah, why didn't they just say, well, you just go fight the champion then?
Right. Or why didn't they say, well, the tournament's already over. You're late.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So guess what? Would you believe it? It's Gary.
No, it's Dillweed.
It's his last name, Gary Dillweed. So you have to fight Gary one more time. After you defeat him, the credits roll. The game finally starts. It begins.
Oh.
That's right. Pokemon
No.
is the crown king of the real game is the post game. Pokemon fans don't even talk about the pre-Elite Four game at all. It's just assumed that you've already done that. If you're even talking about Pokemon, you did the game. Now you're in the real game at the end.
See, this is where I had a problem with it because the game told me from the get-go that my objective was to complete the Pokedex. That's literally the only objective you're given from the beginning.
Yes.
And
that's, again, the story. Professor Oak says, please complete this Pokedex.
And I got all the way to the credits roll, and the game didn't even give me the opportunity to complete the Pokedex. And then as soon as it finishes with the credits roll, it's like, guess what? Here's a second fucking Pokedex.
Yeah.
I'm like, how dare
the National
you?
Dex. Enjoy. Have fun.
Now I was upset, so I turned it off.
So that brings us to the Team Rocket story. So throughout the game, there's bad guys. They're called Team Rocket, and they show up and they do various nefarious things.
They didn't have a single Meowth.
I don't.
Lied to.
No, one of them used a Meowth.
Did they?
Yeah, I remember at least one Meowth in a Team Rocket battle. Pretty sure.
Fine.
I don't remember all the stuff they do. They're kind of inconsequential. They just sort of exist to be bad guys because they don't want Gary to be a full-on bad guy. He's just he's your friendly rival.
Yeah.
Early on, they break into a house.
He really comes off as more of a jerk than they do.
Oh, yeah, he does. No, yeah, for sure. A lot of the Team Rocket people, after you beat them, they're like, good job, kid. And you're like, oh, encouragement.
Right?
Maybe I do want to join Team Rocket. Early on, they break into a house and do some other nefarious things. It's never really super clear to me, and like all the times I've played the Gen 1 games, exactly what it is they're after.
Dig. They were after Dig.
According to the internet, they're just there to steal Pokemon, which, okay.
But there's so many Pokemon. Why don't they just catch them?
I don't know.
They're everywhere.
They all just have like 9 coughings, and I'm like, where did you even get a coughing? Like, I don't know where that is. You clearly have some secret stash.
I had some.
They also steal Pokemon adjacent stuff like artifacts and things related to Pokemon history and research and science. They have a general vibe.
I gave that guy my fossil and I forgot to go back and get it. I should have done that.
Oh no, you fool.
Yeah.
They have a general vibe of wanting to take advantage of scientific research about Pokemon for nefarious reasons, and it all kind of acts as a general, like, grown-ups are taking advantage of something instead of just appreciating the beauty and friendship of it all sort of message is kind of the vibe it has of, like, industrial, adults taking advantage sort of thing. Exploitation, I think, is the word I'm looking for.
If this were a story being told to adults instead of children, you know that some of the Team Rocket guys would be at your house with your day drunk mom just hanging out, watching soap operas.
Yeah. 15 coughings in the background hanging out. As
the
mentioned
15
above,
coughings are just an allegory for how much they're chain smoking, really.
Giovanni, who's the final gym leader, is also the leader of Team Rocket, and he's a very stereotypical businessman-looking dude.
Yeah.
It's very like anti like corporate business coded. The Team Rocket side of the story sort of is. But Giovanni is weirdly encouraging to you after the last couple times you beat him. He's like, good job, you earned this, here's your badge. I'm like, if you're really the leader of a bad guy gang, why don't you just like shoot me in the face while I'm in your gym and then bury my corpse under the floorboards? No one would know. And you're supposed to get all the badges to even approach the Elite Four, right? Like you have to have them. You can't even go up Victory Road.
How did Dillweed get there if he didn't have the badges? Because I have the badges.
They give everyone that beats the gym a badge.
Oh, so they're stickers.
Yeah. What?
These aren't like you're the new sheriff in
It's not
town.
like
You get the
it's
badge.
not like no.
It's more like good job. Here's your sticker.
Right. Dillweed got him because he ran out of
God.
Oak's office first. So everyone gets them.
I hate this more now that I know.
I feel like you just learned about participation trophy. You're like
Yeah.
a grandpa that just learned about participation trophies.
that is how I feel right now. Yeah.
Side stories. There are a lot of small side stories throughout the game, from helping people find lost Pokemon to item quests to get through different roadblocks and stuff. They're kind of fun and Dragon Questy. They add a bit of flair to the story, but they're not really worth fully recounting for the most part. A notable one is Lavender Town, which is the spooky ghost town.
Yeah, that was the only fun part.
You have to climb Memorial Tower, which is a tower full of dead Pokemon ghosts,
Yeah,
and there's a
bunch of
Cubone.
Arios in there.
There's a Cubone whose mother was killed by Team
Yeah.
Rocket, and it comes back as a ghost to defend her child. It's all just really sad and dark, and that's a
neat.
very, very cool area. There's no gym there either. You just like show up and do
Yeah.
ghost shit for like
Yeah.
a couple hours.
Yeah, that's a cool area.
Team Rocket runs a Crooked Game Center at one point, which is kind of neat. Also, an old man loses. This is my favorite side story. An old man loses his gold teeth in the Safari Zone. And everyone that has known him his whole life is like, I guess we just can't understand what he says now. And they just assume he's crazy. Like, all of a sudden, he can't speak, and no one thinks to have anything other to say other than, like, that guy went crazy, I guess.
Yeah, I must have missed that guy entirely.
You find his gold teeth in the very back. No, he gives you an HM. What does he give you? I thought he gives you an HM. I may be misremembering. But in the back of the Safari Zone, you get his gold teeth and you give it to him.
I don't remember this at all.
And he gives you something for giving his gold teeth.
I must have missed that. I just I remember they said there was like a hidden house or something in the Safari Zone that I had to find, and I found
in the
that.
very back.
And I got whatever was supposed to be there, but I don't remember any of the conversation.
Yeah, you find a man's gold teeth, and everyone's just like, he went crazy. He's like the leader of like the Pokemon Society. And all these kids are just like, he's just nuts. And you're like, no, he fucking lost his teeth, dude. Can he not write? Could he not write a note that says, I lost my teeth? Can you go find them?
When my brother takes out his teeth, I can still hear him just fine.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then we get to the real game, which is the post game. So after beating
what this actually is.
After beating the Elite Four, there are 3 legendary birds you can go find: Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres. You can actually do it before the Elite Four, but you're usually underleveled for it. You can go find and capture them. There's a very well-hidden Mewtwo in Cerulean Cave, which is the last legendary. Each legendary has its own mini dungeon that must be traversed to reach them. It's just kind of additional stuff to do, things to catch. For people that don't play Pokemon games, Saturn, legendaries are only legendary in the fact that you only get one chance to catch them. That's what makes them legendary. But everyone gets a chance, so they end up kind of being not very special because everyone gets one anyway. Yeah. So everyone's got a legendary Mewtwo because they all went to Cerulean Cave and caught him. So,
right.
There you go. New content. After reaching Cinnabar Island, players are invited by Bill to travel with him to the Sevi Islands, which are, like you said earlier in the development section, entirely new content added for FireRed Leaf Green. That's 7 islands. Although at first, only the first 2 available during your first visit.
I think 3.
There's is it 3?
Yeah, I think I had to go to the 3rd one in order to get.
Oh, yeah, you go to the second one, which is where the game
whatever.
corner is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a small side quest with Bill's computer friend Celio involving a lost girl named Lostel.
Yeah, and I just happened to get there right before you came over to trade Pokemans
Which
with
is the
me.
only section of the game where you do not have access to a Poke Center.
Yeah.
After defeating the Elite Four, you get the rest of the islands opened up, which include a daycare, which adds breeding capabilities to the first gen. They didn't previously exist in the first generation of games. You could not breed Pokemon.
Yeah, before they just spontaneously appeared.
No, you just had to catch them.
Yeah, as I'm saying, in the wild they spontaneously appeared.
Right.
They couldn't breed with each other because there was no daycare.
Right. There's a special move tutor who will reteach skipped moves to Pokemon in exchange for mushrooms, which has implications.
Yep.
There's a second game center. There's a speedrun-oriented battle tower with special rewards. And there's a whole epilogue quest that involves battling Team Rocket again because the Rockets on Sevi Island didn't get the message that they've been broken up and they've just continued operating.
Well, don't they continue operating in the rest of the games in the series too?
Yeah, but the next game is 3 years later.
Oh, I see. They had time to reform.
So they're still there. And then in later games, it's not Team Rocket, it's different teams.
Oh, I gotcha.
So in Gen 2, you start off and they're like, yeah, someone stopped Team Rocket 3 years ago. And then instantly you run into Team Rocket. And they're like, yeah, we're still doing shit. The first thing that you find them doing in the Gen 2 is going into a cave and cutting off slowpoke tails and selling them.
Well, that's a little more fucked up than normal.
Yeah, it's a little darker. They get a
Yeah.
little darker in the second game. It's a little more like we're fucking maiming Pokemon. It's a little
Well,
grosser.
Maybe somebody realized they weren't evil enough in the first one, so they decided to ratchet it up.
They kind of aren't very evil.
Yeah.
They're just kind of lame. So there's a whole epilogue quest. You go and you go to like this abandoned factory where they're operating in and break them up again. Once you defeat them and kick them out of the island, you recover 2 gemstones, a ruby and a sapphire, and recovering these allows Celio to talk to trainers from a new region, and that's what allows you to link up with Ruby and Sapphire in the Colosseum games for trades. Up until this point, you do not have that capability within the game. Also, the Sevi Islands include Pokemon from the later games, a limited amount of them that you can just catch in the wild, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then there's just kind of recurring story events. Oak's Aid shows up throughout the story to provide you with useful items based on how many Pokemon you caught.
Yeah.
You get it at 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 Pokemon. So first you get HM05 Flash, which is kind of required. Then you get an Everstone, the Hidden Item Finder, an Amulet Coin, and then finally the Experience Share, which is arguably the most useful item in the game. For people that haven't played older Pokemon games, Pokemon not in battle don't get experience, and the Experience Share only works on one other Pokemon.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't like it. So I just hacked in a whole bunch of them into my game.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So
I was tired of waiting for them.
This is modified. There was an EXP all in Gen 1, but it would half the experience for the Pokemon that was in the battle and evenly distributed among the rest of the party. But due to how it mathed out, using more than one Pokemon in battle would result in lost XP, and if Pokemon were fainted, they would lose potential XP, and it was just kind of a whole thing. This is like the slightly better version of it. And then you do have recurring Gary battles. He shows up at important moments anytime you're trying to leave a town to be like, "Sup, butt licker, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you," and then you crush him every time because you already know the Pokemon he has.
Yeah, and he's not very good at the game, is what I learned.
Yeah, he's not. He's not fantastic at it.
No.
And that's kind of all the facets of the story.
He is very confident, though. I'll give him credit for that.
Oh no, his confidence is through the roof.
Yeah,
100%.
He's got that part.
The story's really just kind of there. It's never very deep. I would say, I especially in the earlier games, it feels less visually comparable, so it pops up in my head less now. But at least when I originally played Gen 1, and then on my replays of Red and Blue, they felt very Dragon Questy to me, where like the story's just kind of like really base. It's just enough to get you doing shit.
Right.
And there's this little, it feels very Dragon Quest Rift, where it's like each town has its own little kind of mini story in it, and then you do that, and then you do the main thing, and you move on.
Right. I kind of played it like the first Dragon Quest, where you talk to the handful of important story people and then ignore everyone else in the game. And because of that, I missed out on some information that apparently I was supposed to have.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I missed that much because I still got to the end.
I mean, again, the story was never deep,
No.
and this is kind of getting into final thoughts, I guess. It was... story has never been what carried Pokemon games, I think, for me or anyone else. And I think for something made within the limitations of the original Game Boy and with an intended audience of 10-year-old boys, I think it does the job.
Yeah.
Gary's annoying. The gym battles are interesting. Team Rocket does bad things. It's not complex, but it works fine as a framework for catching monsters and doing battles, which is really all it exists to do.
Right.
Pretty immediately in the second game, they get into slightly more complex story. It's still kind of the same, but like Team Rocket's a little more evil. Traversing the world is a little more complicated. Like everything ratchets up like one little notch. And so I don't know. The story's not exciting, but again, it's not. I don't know. I don't want to say it wasn't supposed to be. I'm sure it was supposed to be exciting to 10-year-olds within the limitations of the original Game Boy.
Right.
And Pokemon's always been kind of a miracle that it was able to fit on a Game Boy.
Yeah.
Because as someone who's played a lot of Game Boy RPGs, they don't fucking fit. The fact that they got the words to all fit is
They had to
a
shrink
feat.
Pokemon into 4 letters and then put it in the space of 2 letters. So,
It's an insane feat that they got it to work on the
Right.
original Game Boy whatsoever. So let me put that out there. But the remake, I think they could have. I wouldn't have been upset if they added a little more depth to some
Yeah.
of the story elements.
I was thinking about it because this is a very late GBA game. Because this came out.
Yeah, this is 04.
This came out a month before the DS came out.
Oh yeah.
And the GBA has a huge library of JRPGs.
Tons. Amazing.
Many of them
ones.
are very, very deep JRPGs. So
Yeah,
this-
including the first 6 Final Fantasies up to that point, kind of some of the best versions of several of them.
well, 5 of the 6 early Final Fantasies, and then also Golden Sun, and just
Yep.
there's a ton of great RPGs
Two
on the
Golden
the
Suns,
GBA.
Tales of Fantasia, there's
Yep.
Fantasy Star Collection, Riviera. I mean, there's
Right.
a shitload of stuff. Tactics Ogre,
Yeah,
multiple
and-
SRPGs.
and Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep.
And comparatively, it makes this feel very basic. And
It does,
granted, it is
yeah.
a remake of an older game, but so
Sure.
is Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on Game Boy Advance, and that also feels much more robust than this.
Yeah.
So- It does feel like a wasted opportunity to have added
Yeah.
some more complexity, but also based on their target audience, I can see why they maybe didn't want to.
I'm kind of in the same camp. Like I don't think it is hurt by the lack of story
Yeah.
or the fact that they basically just didn't add anything to it.
Mhm.
But I also feel like it could have been an opportunity where, like, let's add a little bit more complexity.
Yeah.
I mean, these days I think people would probably be offended by the idea that you would touch the pristine thing that is the red and blue storyline.
Right.
But at the time, it had only been a few years. That's
Yeah.
well within the realm of being like, yeah, let's kind of fucking revamp it a little bit. Let's really
Right.
change it up.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to change massive story beats, but I think they could
No.
have added a little higher stakes, maybe.
Or at the very least, added some flavor to some of the areas. Give them a little more personality.
Yeah. I'll say
as
this,
you went along with the course.
the story really does feel like you're just a kid near the actual story that is unfolding, which seems to
Right.
be Team Rocket fighting with these towns and invading these towns.
Yeah.
You're just you feel very much like how a 10-year-old might experience that, where you're not really a part of the conflict. I mean, you show up and fight Team Rocket people, but it's Poke battles. You're not like kicking
Right.
anyone's ass or anything.
And you do
Um,
ultimately take them down as an organization.
You do, but through your kid means of
Right.
Poke battles.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Of your
I-
trained enslaved pets.
I
You know,
wouldn't have been
normal
upset
kid
to see
things.
more. I'm not upset that they didn't do more, if that makes sense. I can see
fair.
it both ways. Where
Yeah.
like, I don't know that the structure of the game could have handled a much more complex story, but also a little bit of dialogue goes a long way. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more depth or nuance would have been cool.
Yeah.
I think they really just were like, story stays the same. We keep it the same. Maybe some of the dialogue was changed up. I don't remember much of it, to be honest, from my playthroughs. So maybe it was totally revamped and I just don't fucking remember. But it's what
I
it
can't
is.
speak to that. So
that's the story of the Pokemans, Saturn.
That
We
was
did it.
way more story than I actually experienced in the game.
And really, we didn't even cover most. We didn't even talk about Bill being turned into a Pokemon or any of that. Like
I
the
don't
story does have
remember
a. What do you mean? You go find Bill and he's like got turned into a Pokemon and you got to turn him back and then he's like, I'm the Pokemaniac that made the. And then now someone's PC is called Bill's PC when you go to the PC.
That whole sequence lasts one line of dialogue. You walk into the building, you talk to him, and he's like, I have to go into the machine, hit the button. And then you do, and then he's like, all right, this scene is over now.
I'll
and
say
that's the
this,
entire sequence.
there were 2 surprises in the story before we end the show. 2 surprises in the story. One, Bill being the someone in someone's PC blew my mind when I was 10. And 2, Giovanni secretly being the final gym leader also blew my mind. Such a surprise. It was like Garland traveling through time level surprise. I was like, oh my God, it's been him the whole time. Like that's how I talked when I was 10.
Yeah.
And
And also when you found out that Professor Oak and your mom are just day drinking all day.
Right. You think Professor Oak's your dad?
You might be.
Never thought about it.
Maybe
that
it's
mean-
Dillweed.
Dillweed's also 10.
Oh, yeah.
You can't tell because all the sprites are the same size.
Right,
But
yeah.
anyway, go.
Maybe it's the old guy who lost his teeth.
Yes, maybe it's the old guy that lost his teeth that no one can understand. They just assume he's crazy.
Yeah.
If you want to assume people are crazy, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/retrowarriors. We do all sorts of crazy shit. And
You don't have
crazy
to assume
things.
anymore.
Yeah, no, it's well established.
Yeah, it becomes very clear once you get access to the uncuts.
We did a recent episode of Talking Wizards, and Andrew and I both were like, that episode. Sometimes we'll do an episode and we're like, that was off the rails. And then sometimes we'll do one and we'll be like, that felt a little more tame. Which for Talking Wizards, we consider a bad thing because there's not actual content to back it up like this show.
Yeah.
And we both were like, yeah, that one felt kind of tame, and we posted it, and someone went in the chat and was like, this is the most unhinged episode y'all have ever made. And I was like, oh, I guess we no longer are able to detect when we are being completely insane. So I don't know if that should be concerning or not. But apparently we have no ability to tell when we're just saying random shit. So yeah, there you can go listen to that at any level. If you subscribe on the Patreon, you can get access to Talking Wizards. For $1 an episode, you can get uncut versions of this show. We do read long every month. We read magazines, which is fun. It's all a good, fun time. And you get access to our super secret Talking Wizards channel, which has all of the most hard-hitting and important
unhinged conversation. And also, I wanted to note that if you are already a Patreon subscriber, one of our Patreon subscribers posted in the Discord today a utility that he made on GitHub that separates out the RSS feed so that all the different shows are separate RSS feeds so that you can add them to your podcast aggregator and listen to them separately. And that's really neat.
I was thinking the other day, I was like, I wish Patreon separated these because I hate that I have to, basically uncut patrons get the show twice. They get the uncut one and the cut one. And some people do listen to it twice, but 90% of the content's the same. So for a lot of people, it turns into like, all right, I got to skip that one because I already heard the uncut. And so this breaks. It's so cool. So awesome that they did that. So yeah, thank you to that person. And also thank you to the following patrons for the money that they give us on a monthly basis, starting with Mr. Jiggyfly.
And Space Bruce.
Brian Kim.
Chronolingua.
Hamha, it is I, Nepiki the hamster.
I always thought it was Hamha.
Hamha.
Like it was a hamster, but it's laughing, so it's Hamha. Anyway, Dan Christensen.
Some Hamtaro level naming shit.
Right?
News Goose Clover.
Grady Haynes.
Eric G.
And The Stone Shooter.
All gived us money.
Yay.
I have the receipts to prove it, and I can report it as such on my taxes. So I've got all of the proof I need that these people gave us money, and you can too. Or don't. I don't know. I mean, whatever. It'd be cool if you did. I don't, it'd be nice. I'd like that. Saturn would like it too.
Yeah, I'm for against it.
You're for against it. Anyway, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.